we're talking about Deion Sanders. Prime time. Deion Sanders, the head football coach at the University of Colorado. And once a generation, Colorado football becomes relevant. And right now, they are relevant, and Deion is barking again about a topic that is very close and near and dear to his heart, the Hall of Fame. You see, Deion Sanders is part of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and he does not like the way that outfit is operating, and he took a shot at the class of 2023 that are heading to Canton, Ohio last week in the haze of the Super Bowl. They announced the new class that's going in Pro Football's Hall of Fame, and Deion doesn't like it. If you didn't hear what he had to say, and maybe you did not, we've learned the latest commentary from Deion Sanders complaining yet again about his pet peeve here, the standards being lowered to get a golden jacket. This is a quote that he gave Peter King. He said, quote, Deion Sanders, "We've gotten soft," he stated regarding the Hall of Fame. "It's open house, is it not?" The quote continued. Deion upset that there were not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but nine people that were announced as Hall of Famers on Thursday of last week, bringing the total to 45 new inductees in the last 4 years. Only 5 modern-era members are allowed in each year. So the 2023 class, just to get you caught up to speed on this, Deion ranting and raving, upset that among those getting in the Hall of Fame, defensive back / safety Rondé Barber, Darrelle Revis Island is a Hall of Famer, the linebacker, defensive end, and sack master DeMarcus Ware, Hall of Famer, longtime Miami Dolphin linebacker Zach Thomas, and offensive lineman for some putrid Cleveland Brown teams, Joe Thomas, also in the Hall of Fame. But wait, there's more. The man behind the old San Diego Chargers back in the Bronze Age, Don Coryell, Eric Coryell, Hall of Famer. Defensive tackle, defensive end, Joe Klecko of the New York Jets of the 1980s, Hall of Famer. Chuck Howley, the linebacker, Hall of Famer. Ken Riley, defensive back, also added. All those guys added by the senior committee or the coach contributor panel, whatever that is. Deion was also upset that somebody didn't get in the Hall of Fame. He wanted Devin Hester to make the Hall of Fame. So Deion was upset that Hester did not make it. He went on to say, quote, "That stuff makes me mad, man." The Colorado coach opining. He said, now it's like haters involved. Hate should not be involved in this stuff. Close quote. Which is a bit of irony because Deion's throwing a whole lot of haterade out at the Hall of Fame. And he's upset that they're using hate. All right, so let us discuss the question on this story. How did you interpret Deion Sanders and his latest criticism of the Pro Football Hall of Fame? So I've got McGruff the Crime Dog, Penthouse Suite, and Bud Weiser. And we will connect all of these things together, and we are going to make a wonderful dish of baba ganoush. Where's the baba ganoush? We're going to make the baba ganoush. Now, first of all, there are many people that seem annoyed with prime time. They think that he should not be doing this. Why are you continuing to complain about the Hall of Fame, that Deion Sanders is becoming the old guy screaming at clouds? Now, I disagree with that, those that are criticizing Deion Sanders. I like the fact that Deion has a hot take, and he's selling the hot take every time he gets in front of a microphone and does an interview. And I say it's actually understandable that Deion Sanders is saying this. Deion has a right to be annoyed that his accomplishments were so far above and beyond the requirements to get in the Pro Football Hall of Fame that when you add in the flotsam and jetsam, that Deion is being marginalized. That this is a guy that's in the top 5%, the top 1% at what he did, the creme de la creme, generational talent, peers of the realm, I can go on, a nobleman, And now the Hall of Fame is letting peasants into Deion's house, and he doesn't like it. They're making a mockery of the domination of Deion Sanders. And Deion he's working as neighborhood watch, if you will, right? He's dressed up, and imagine him wearing the McGruff the Crime Dog outfit. And Deion is dedicated to crime and vandalism prevention within his neighborhood. He's McGruff the Crime Dog. And Deion Sanders is merely reporting to the media the blight that is going on in his community, in his Hall of Fame village. And he doesn't like it. Now, page 2. Has the Hall of Fame gotten soft? So after a minutes-long investigation, it's hard to argue otherwise. There's reasons for it. It makes sense. If I worked at the Hall of Fame, I would do what the Hall of Fame is doing. The Hall of Fame is a business. And I've been told by those that know much more than me about the business of Hall of Fame that they make the vast majority of their yearly revenue from one weekend a year, and only one weekend a year. It happens in early August. It is Enshrinement Weekend. That there are people that pack up the old station wagon and travel from near and far to go to Ohio to be part of the festivities in Kent. And they want to reminisce back to their childhood, watching their favorite NFL players growing up, and now they're in the Hall of Fame. And it's like a living memorial service for the career of that particular player. And they spend a lot of money. They buy a lot of souvenirs. And so it's good for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And you put a cap on revenue if you limit the Hall of Fame classes, and they certainly don't want to do that. That's a no bueno situation. So Deion Sanders argued the Hall of Fame should be reserved for players who, quote, changed the game. And that sounded very similar to what we have talked about behind these microphones over the years. If you've listened and you've been part of our show, you know that we should thank Deion Sanders for agreeing with a long-standing take that we have provided. Over the years, I've been asked many times about what makes a Hall of Famer, and we have preached behind the bully pulpit that a Hall of Famer is someone that it is reserved for people who make history, that change history, direct history, that our rules of engagement to get in for a Hall of Fame career are very straightforward. Were you a regular season or league MVP? If you're a defensive player, were you the defensive player of the year? Were you an all-pro even once? I'm not talking about Pro Bowl, because who cares about the Pro Bowl? It's a flag football game. I'm talking about all-pro. Did you make an all-decade team? Can the history of pro football be told without mentioning your name? And under our criteria, you have to check 2 of those boxes to be considered a Hall of Famer. So you have to be an all-pro, all-decade person, or you have to be such a historic figure you can't tell about football without that. So you have to do 2 of those things, and if you don't check 2 of those boxes, you're not a Hall of Famer. Deion Sanders has that standard. He wants a penthouse suite reserved for him. In fact, he also went on to say that there should at least be an upper room, that's how he described it, upper room, in quotes, within the Hall of Fame, like a secret speakeasy, if you will, that is dedicated to the top percentage of Hall of Famers, that is decided by the members of the Hall of Fame, for those that separate themselves, the thinning of the herd, if you will, from the rest of the Hall of Famers. All right, final thought. So what is the lesson from the Hall of Fame lowering its criteria? Well, it obviously cheapens the process. It's like Budweiser. If you're watering down the beer, you're diluting the beer, you're reducing the alcohol content. Yuck. Who wants that? If you're going to drink beer, you don't want it diluted. Or if you're ordering soup, you don't want the soup diluted. You don't want that watered down either. So this Hall of Fame is supposed to be difficult. And lowering the standards sets everyone up, I think, for failure. Right? It's just like anything in life. When you lower standards under the guise of helping, in this case, certain people get in the Hall of Fame because you have to make money because you're the Hall of Fame, the message is very clear. It's like, we don't believe that you're good enough to make it. You're not capable enough to make the Hall of Fame. You can't meet the standards. So we're going to dumb down the standards to get in so we can get your fat ass in the Hall of Fame. If your standards are valid, if your requirements are kosher, then why would you want to lower them? Why would you need to lower them to get certain people in the Hall of Fame? But yet, it has happened in recent years, and so it's understandable that a guy like Deion Sanders, who's been that guy, would be annoyed and would be upset. It makes sense.